should be making some money now, but I turned it off because I want to talk about something. So you look at the pattern of these trees right here, the pattern on that siding, the pattern on those trees, those rocks over there, and it's not just man-made stuff, and it's not just trees. It's the clouds, it's the seasons. Everything has a pattern. What made me think about it was just dropped a Uber rider off over here, and we were talking. He was an engineer, and I said, if you look around, you see the patterns everywhere. And if there's patterns everywhere, then that proves it's a simulation. It has to be. And I said, he said, yeah, makes sense. The guy was from India. See, people in the USA don't really think deep. I told him, I said, when I went to engineering and math school, I like to solve problems. I like to meditate on truth, If my degree's in math, there's a reason that I'm thinking the way I think, because everything's a pattern. When you can see patterns in all things, then that tells you, everywhere you look right here is a pattern. The dashes, the trees, the sidewalks, even the clouds. Look how they're all patterned after each other. What are those called? Cumulus clouds. So when there's a storm, they look different. When it's getting ready to rain, they look different. They all follow a pattern. This fence is a pattern. You look like your parents and your grandparents. Everything's a pattern. And I told him, I said, since you're from India, you know about the gurus meditating. You've eventually realized this is a simulation. And if there's patterns outside and out here repeats, then the out here doesn't change. What changes is in here. And then when you get to a certain state of meditation, you can actually manipulate out here, because out here is a reflection of in here. And people will not believe that, but that's okay. You haven't done the work. You haven't done the meditation. You haven't done the study, the contemplation, you haven't compared it with Scripture. You haven't compared it with the truth. If God made man in His image, there's your archetype of all things. Everything's an image or a copy. And your mind is imagination, which is imagination which is image birthing. And so out here in front of you is your imagination appearing an appearance. Because if everything out here is a copy, then what's in here is a copy, is connected. So your mind writes in the script. It's a storyline, and it plays. And I thought, well, okay. So it's repeating back. So here's my conclusion. Here's how here's how I came to the conclusion. So I was saying, okay, everything I'm thinking about is repeating back, but it's not repeating back when I expect it to. So what's going on? So I started thinking about it. Praying about it. So it repeats, every day resets. It repeats as a storyline. You can gaze upon these clouds and there will be a storyline in the clouds. You can gaze upon this concrete, grass, trees, whatever. The thing that you think upon reflects back in a storyline, because it's being recorded in the spirit realm. It's a storyline, people. Should I cut the video off now and start making some money again? Or is there something else I need to say? I'm tired of talking about it. I've said it 1,000 times, but there's somebody out there that's this close to seeing it. Somebody says, well, give me some Bible verses. All right. Well, there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. God, through Jesus, made all things. And so when you make something, it points back to you. An artist, well, I think this artist did this. I think this writer wrote this. They look at the way the writer wrote to see who wrote it. I need to ask AI if there's patterns in. I need to type in on the AI and say, do you see patterns in Paul's writings? Or patterns and different kind of writings by different people. There's got to be a pattern. Anyway, what has been shall be, what shall be has been. Ecclesiastes, nothing new under the sun. You just need to look out in front of you. Look at these cars repeating. Look at what your parents did and your grandparents is repeating. Now, some of you can break the mold. I believe breaking the mold is the secret. I broke the mold. I saw early on that those people were destroying themselves. And the only way you're going to break the mold on some strongholds from the bloodline is fasting and prayer. Claiming the blood, fasting and prayer. Because it's a real battle, people. Those strongholds are sown in a bloodline for a long time. And the only way you're going to break it is the blood. And certain patterns you're going to have to fast. Because, think about it, when you were a child, that bloodline pattern, you were being trained by your grandparents through your parents. Think about that. You were being trained by your great-great-great-grandparents through your parents and their parents, and it's just a repeat. And so the only way you're going to break something that strong that's been sown into reality is by fasting and prayer and claiming the blood and renewing your mind. Because these are strongholds that have been around a long time. And it's like sewing a thread, the fabric of space-time. It's like sewing a thread, and it's hard to separate from those old patterns. That's why when you get married, if there's a divorce, there's a ripping and a tearing, because there's a bond there, and it's a rip and a tear. You know. And anybody that says they hadn't had any pain, they probably a psychopath, because you can't get married without and get a divorce without some pain. Some pain and sorrow. It's painful. Anybody says they hadn't experienced it, they're lying to you. Most likely. The problem wasn't the marriage. The problem was marrying the wrong one. That was the problem. You married the wrong one, so you're going to have to go through some pain to get out of that thing. It might not be meant for you to get out. You might just need to change your perspective and change your view. But if you're married to a narcissistic psychopath, they're going to kill you. If they can't kill you physically, and if they don't poison you physically, they're going to psychologically try to kill you. Can you imagine being married to a narcissist for 20 years? There's people that just type in datingasociopath.com and look and read some of the comments. People woke up that they were married to a sociopath for 20 years. Can you imagine coming out of that? Having this worldview, this picture of a perfect life, come to find out they were married to a psychopath that was out killing people or something. Who knows what they were doing? I think I touched on it recently in an audio, but the reason the system wants to shut down open communication is because the narcissists are being revealed, and it's a narcissistic system. So if you were able to see the patterns in a narcissist and apply it to the system, and you can see it's true in all the corporate insanity, you can see it true in all the media insanity, all the medical insanity, you can see it true in all the food producers, you can see this whole pattern. See, think about it this way. Imagine none of this was here, and you travel out and you sacrifice to build a city here with the hope that you build a city to benefit people. So you tame the wild, You start to build a city to benefit humans. But then, so the city's growing, everybody's being benefited, but then there's some greedy people that get in, and some psychopaths and narcissists and sociopaths, and instead of them wanting to tame the wild and build a city to help people, they want to take the people that are already in the city and feed off of them like vampires and destroy them and poison them and get a kick out of it. That's sick. Any city, they're all the same. All cities are the same deep down. There might be some that are extra good and worse, but they pretty much have the same concept. But each city should be helping the neighbors, building up the community, growing their own food, getting free, helping the industry in the area. It should be helping the industry, the employees. The business should be to help the employees. But what happens is a business comes in and destroys the natural resources, destroys the employees. They get brown lung and carpal tunnel syndrome. Their ergonomics, they destroy their joints and stuff like that. So these companies forgot that the whole purpose of building a city is to help everybody. And then they end up destroying everybody. And then they end up lying to cover their lies and trying to do gaslighting. Then they gaslight the whole city or the whole nation and say, oh, that's not what happened. And then they go to court and the corporation pays $1 billion to settle a lawsuit. And then 2 years later, everybody's forgot about it and the corporation's still in business and they do something else. Just like that bank, I can never remember its name. Wells Fargo, that's the name of the bank. Wells Fargo, every 2 years they do something crazy and they get fined $1 billion and people stay with the bank. And then they say, okay, they're going to change. And then 2 years later, Wells Fargo does something else crazy. Come on, people. Why is that place still in business? Why are they not doing internal audits from the government every month? These people are sick. So they tame a city, they tame a country, and then they turn into psychopaths, and they get a kick out of hurting people who build up a city. Do you understand? This is real. I'm telling you, this is what's going on across the board. That's like when you build let's say you come up with a new restaurant. Let's say you invented Wendy's, okay? You invented Wendy's because you wanted to create a business to help people. So you build a Wendy's right there. It was the first Wendy's, and you start to grow the chain, and everybody's gung-ho. And then you start hiring people who just want to be slack and lazy and pathetic and tear the business down. And the people go in there, instead of them having a construction or building soul mindset, they're trying to destroy souls. Instead of them building up souls, they're destroying souls, and they're still destroying businesses. And then the ones that rise up as a CEO who are psychopaths, they just learn how to gaslight they learn how to gaslight everybody, even the government and the lawyers. They're master deceivers. I mean, this is real, people. It's real.